I gotta go feed the bees. Stay tuned and I'll show you what I'm doing. Hello, welcome to Pine Meadows Hobby Farm. I'm your host, Jerry Hansen. We're in the apiary today and I've got to feed my bees. We're in the dearth now, which means a time of scarcity. And the honey flow, the nectar flow has slowed way down. There's still pollen that they're gathering because I can see the bees bringing in a little color on their pollen sac. So they're bringing in the pollen, but that's their protein. We need to give them their calories for the winter. So what they're doing is I made a mixture of 2 parts sugar, 1 part water to be able to, well actually my combination is 3 parts sugar, 1 part water, and we're feeding them. And so right now I'm feeding them here on my feeder on the outside right here instead of inside the boxes. When the weather, I watch the temperature when the weather gets a little bit cooler, I start putting the feeders on the inside. Right now trying to discourage robbing, and I understand that if you put the feeders on the inside of the hives that should avoid the robbing of other bees and yellow jackets and what have you. So right now it's the time to put my entrance reducers on so the bees have a better chance at defending the hives from robbing, and also keeps them a little bit warmer because we got to keep the hives warmer. Right now the queen is laying brood for the winter. Winter bees live longer than summer bees. And so I need a good brood going, a good amount of brood going on the hives to have a successful winter over, so I have a good colony population going into next spring and summer, so I can actually get some honey production next year. As you can see, I just put a shelf on the back of my little bee barn here, and we put all the entrance feeders there. I'm not too fond of entrance feeders because that does invite robbing, and there is a way I can just actually place these inside the hives, but we'll show that on another video. But right now I have to get these jars filled. The bees clean these out. This is about how much they use in one day now. When I first started this process, I was filling it twice a day, so they were actually going through a whole gallon of nectar. And it's cold today, so they probably won't be flying as much. And with me feeding them, I fed them about 5 gallons already. So they pretty much have their hives full of honey. So this will supplement them along with any local feral colonies, and we'll give these ladies a good chance at success to help winter over. Every one of these containers were empty. Now what I'll do is come out later today and recheck these levels, and then I'll finish using the rest of the nectar out of this jug. I just store it in here for right now. Let's talk about the feed for a second. Sugar. Not any kind of sugar is really good for the bees. Pure cane sugar is the only sugar you want to use for feeding bees. The beet sugar seed has neonics introduced in it. The seed itself is treated with a neonic, which makes the seed tolerant to Roundup. Now I have a big problem with Roundup saturating the food crops, because this is a chemical that is not washed off, and it does get ingested by the animal and eventually gets passed on to the human population, which ultimately is not good. But especially for a tiny little bee, it can't be that good. But in addition to the genetic modification of the seed itself, or the neonic introduced to the seed, coating the seed, is that you have the chemical makeup of these sugars is identically the same, with the exception that the beet sugar and the organic sugar has more solids in it than the pure cane sugar. And this causes a problem for bees in the winter months, as they do not poop in their hives. They actually do a cleansing flight when the temperatures get warm enough for the bees to tolerate leaving the hive in the winter months and fall months, and being able to release their feces outside of the hive. So when you have a problem with beet sugar or organic sugar causing dysentery in the bees, you have a problem with sick bees. So stick with pure cane sugar. Better be safe than sorry. And as you get into the colder winter months, that's a lot more moisture content in the air itself. Moisture in a hive is not good for the hive, so beekeepers in my area will feed our bees a dry sugar. It's called a drivert sugar, and we'll disperse that sugar over the inner cover dry, and the bees will be able to ingest that. That way there's no water content, and they'll be able to get that and get their calories to keep alive through the winter. So as I evolve as a beekeeper, I'm taking advantage of all the flowers I can get to plant on my farm to give the bees a variety of pollens and nectars to be able to store up for themselves without me having to supplement their diets. So next year I'm hoping to have many flowers available, because in another video in my gardening series, check out that one on me saving my seeds, harvesting my flower seeds and saving them for next year to plant. So that's my take on feeding my bees and in the beekeeping, keeping viable bees here at the apiary at Pine Meadows Hobby Farm. I'm your host, Jerry Hansen. I want to thank you guys for showing up and checking in on how I'm learning how to do beekeeping and how I'm learning how to do homesteading. Showing you my successes and as well as my failures. And if you guys have a constructive tip to give me, I'm always open to those constructive tips. Yeah. Please subscribe, give me a thumbs up, leave a comment. Sharing my videos really helps the channel out a lot. You can find me on social media. I'm on Twitter, Facebook, Pinterest, Reddit, and Google+. I'll see you guys again later. Bye-bye. That's my take on learning about eating, or so that's my take on eating. So that's my take on feeding my bees